Russia's strategy on the front lines relied entirely on drone superiority. Hundreds were launched every day, turning Ukrainian positions into hell. Yet, in a single night, Ukraine obliterated Moscow's aerial dominance. Thousands of attack drones, command centers, and ammunition depots were destroyed in mere minutes. Vladimir Putin firmly believed the war would remain away from Russian territory, that cities behind the front lines were untouchable steel fortresses. With this confidence, he stockpiled massive reserves and built factories in strategic southern Russian centers, turning them into safe havens for death machines meant to plunge Ukrainian cities into darkness and helplessness. The logic was simple. Soldiers would fight at the front, while logistics flowed like a river behind them. But on the night of February 9th, the walls of these trusted fortresses were shaken by one of the most devastating logistical failures in modern military history. According to Ukrainian General Staff data and the Kiev Post, a deep strike was launched against one of Russia's most critical logistics hubs in Rostov. Ukrainian forces destroyed over 6,000 FPV drones, leveled a command center, and blew up an ammunition depot. Officials say this marks Moscow's largest drone loss since the start of the war. When Putin's generals woke up the next morning, they had no weapons left to fight. Only ash, smoke, and widespread panic remained. Rostov is not just a point on the map, it is the main artery feeding Russia's military operations in Ukraine. The Southern Military District's command center is located there, and all logistics, troop movements, and, most importantly, the critical ammunition flows that keep the front line operational pass through this hub. On that Monday night, this hub was hit at its very heart by a surgical strike. When we hear the number 6,000, it's hard to grasp its real impact. These are not mere stock items. In modern warfare, an FPV drone is equivalent to a guided missile, sometimes even more dangerous, as it can be controlled by an operator until the very last moment. Russia did not lose 6,000 plastic propellers, it lost 6,000 potential strikes. Each drone was designed to target a Ukrainian tank, armored personnel carrier, artillery battery, or infantry group. Even assuming only one-third of drones hit their targets, a conservative estimate, the Ukrainian army prevented the destruction of at least 2,000 vehicles or positions. In effect, 6,000 future attacks were neutralized, a victory in preventive defense. Russia's drone superiority vanished overnight, reducing months of attack stockpiles to ashes. Time, an irreplaceable resource in war, is now Moscow's enemy. How did Ukraine detect and strike such a deep, well-protected target? This was no blind shot, but a flawless kill chain operation. Detection, penetration, and strike. The coordinates of this massive depot were clearly not obtained from a simple map app. The precision and intensity of the strike suggest a multi-layered intelligence network, known as data fusion, was at work. As for the arsenal used, political restrictions on Western missiles like Storm Shadow or ATACMS make it likely that domestically produced Ukrainian long-range systems were employed, such as Lyuty drones or the newer jet-powered Paleonicia drone missile hybrids. Yet the real strategic brilliance lies not in the platform itself, but in how it was used. Main drones carrying armor-piercing warheads, hidden among swarms of cheap drones, overwhelmed and confused Russian air defenses, locking onto their targets with deadly precision. How was Russia's formidable S-400 and S-300 air defense umbrella penetrated? The drones likely flew extremely low, following the terrain to slip under radar coverage. Electronic warfare jamming or decoy drones may also have created chaos, opening a massive breach in the defensive wall. This strike was just one part of a broader operation. That same night, two other critical points were hit. Sudza in the Kursk region, the command center of Russia's elite airborne forces, and the ammunition depot in Novolevka in the Kherson region. Connected, Rostov, Kursk, and Kherson form a nightmarish triangle for Russia, simultaneously targeting the eyes, brain, and fists of its army. The destroyed command center plunged elite Russian units into silence and chaos. The Novolevka depot silenced Southern Front artillery. Drones grounded, commanders unresponsive, infantry defenseless. The psychological impact is total. Russian logistics, heavily reliant on foreign suppliers for drone components, are now strangled. Rebuilding 6,000 drones will take weeks, be costly and complicated. The attack also exposes the inefficiency of Russia's war economy, centralized stockpiles, massive warehouses, and vulnerability to targeted strikes. This was far from an isolated incident. Ukraine's strategy is to strike the enemy before it reaches the front, destroying ammunition, drones, and logistics. The Rostov strike is a finger pressed against the throat of Russia's war machine, blinding its forces and demoralizing soldiers. Meanwhile, Ukrainian troops gain confidence, knowing the enemy's greatest asset has been neutralized. On the battlefield, a blind giant is vulnerable to a smaller, more agile opponent. Even as the smoke clears over Rostov, the aftermath remains. Putin's special operation has evolved. The roles of hunter and prey have reversed. Ukraine now strikes at the heart, depots, cities, and rear areas previously thought invulnerable. The fire did not just destroy drones, it burned the myth of Russia's invincible logistics. Russia may rebuild drones and warehouses, but fear and insecurity have been sown. Every commander and warehouse manager now watches the sky with anxiety. Will it be my turn? The psychological edge in the war has shifted quietly but profoundly. Ukraine's message is clear. There is nowhere to hide, not on the front lines, not at home.